Viewer discretion advised.
Not everything from Pointe-Clair's past is a happy memory. There have been some tragedies. I usually try to keep it light and fun and funny here on Endangered Stories, but I felt that this story needed to be shared because it was actually mentioned 3 times in the course of 3 separate interviews, so it must have affected the residents of that time, which I feel earns itself a place in Pointe-Clair's history. This is a story of a plane crash that happened right here in Lakeside Heights.
In the 50s, there was a plane crash.
When the plane crashed too at the end of St. Louis.
Yeah, that was a real disaster, holy Jesus.
The plane crashed on May 16th, 1953, just after midnight. 12:28 to be exact. It was a World War II B-25 Mitchell bomber coming from Chatham, New Brunswick, carrying 8 military officials, 3 of which were from Montreal, and was making a stop in Dorval on its way to Trenton, Ontario. As it was reported, 5 men were going to Ontario, and 3 heard of the flight and essentially hitchhiked to Montreal, which might be the reason why they needed to stop at Dorval. Now, the reason for its crash, well, it seems like the odds were stacked up against them. According to an article that I read about this plane, it was notoriously difficult to control, and that night, the ceiling was low.
Late at night, bad visibility, low ceilings, which is low clouds, and circling approach, meaning it's a visual approach. You're not using, like, now we have all kinds of navigational aids. So they were manually flying with, well, I mean, that's what it all was back in the day. So it sounds like it was just a combination of a couple things there.
It crashed 1.5 miles from the airport, just east of St. Louis.
St. Louis ended right there. There wasn't much else, and it was all woods. We called it first, second, third woods.
Fire truck and stuff like that, but they couldn't get there because it was farmers, you know. So we ran across, and away we go. We got there before the police.
There were no eyewitnesses, although civilians in the area heard the plane overhead, and a few moments later, the crash. Then, an explosion. An explosion big enough that some residents described as lighting up the horizon.
It crashed in the woods, and so we rode up there, and I mean, it was a novelty, and but the police and workers kept us all around, you know, away from the actual site.
They were Air Force guys. Some of them had put their parachutes on. There was one hanging on a tree there for sure. And some had fallen on the stone walls because the farmer had big stone walls, and they'd fallen on their backs. And they were just like the opposite way, you know. It just was horrible. But you couldn't save anybody. They were all dead. Everybody. Nobody survived that one.
Now, a plane crash in itself is significant, but remember, at that time in that area, mostly all of the residents were vets. So there's no doubt that this hit close to home, and no doubt why it would leave a lasting impression on the children of these vets.
I remember all the men in the area running there, you know, to try to help out, but it was too late. I remember parachutes stuck in trees, things like that, you know.
Although nearly 7 years have passed since that event, I feel that it's only right to end this video off by taking a moment to honor those who lost their lives that day.